Hello, everybody. Hi, welcome to today's session. My name is Romina. You might already know me, actually. I work for Macmillan Education, and today with Mondadori Education, we're going to have webinar and a session about mindfulness, language, and digital practice in the lower secondary classroom. Before welcoming the speaker for today, I would like to remind you and remind everybody that you are going to receive your attestato, so your certificate, and you're going to see it on the website Mondadori Education in the section attestati of your profile. So you're going to see that. And as usual, you are free to put your questions in the chat, and I will help our speaker for today to collect all the questions and address to all of them if we have time, and we usually do at the end of the session. Usually, as you know, the session is extremely interactive, so don't worry, the speaker will also ask you to interact via the chat box. So don't worry, there will be lots of opportunities to use the chat and the comments section. So now I can see that lots of people are already typing. So hello, everybody. And I would like to welcome our speaker, Andrew, for today.
Hello, how are you, Romina? Can you see me?
Can you hear me, Andrew?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Okay. Can you hear me, Andrew?
Yes, yes.
Hello. Hi.
Hi, good to see you again.
Nice to see you. How are you?
Good, good. I'm very busy man
Very
today.
busy these days, as I suppose our teachers, correct?
Yeah, exactly,
There's going to
yeah.
be lots of comments, I have to say.
Yeah.
So everyone, without further ado, this is Andrew, and he's going to speak about mindfulness, language, and digital practice in the lower secondary classroom. I'm gonna be here if you need help with anything, with maybe activities or questions. And I'm gonna follow from backstage, let's say, and then I'll be back at the end of the session. So thank you very much. And Andrew, the stage is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Right. Okay. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Good to see so many of you joining us after, I imagine, must have been a big day at school. Monday's always busy. I'm currently doing a project in a Istituto Comprensivo in the region or provincia of Vicenza. So I've been in 4 classes this morning. So I have total empathy for you. Those of you who don't know me, my name's Andrew Howarth. I'm a teacher, I'm a trainer, and also a student based up here in Verona in the north of Italy. I say student because I'm doing a master's in digital education as well as my work commitments at the moment. And it's always a pleasure to be invited by Romina and the team here at Mondadori and Macmillan to share what I'm doing, both in class, in training sessions, and also what I'm kind of learning as a student. So today is a little bit of a mixed bag, let's say. There's a bit of everything in there. We've played around with the title a bit to try and describe what you're going to see. So there is some mindfulness, some grounding activities as well. We're going to look at modern day lesson planning and certainly how I'm planning my lessons at the moment using the various digital tools available. And of course, as always, language is the center point of everything that EFL teachers do. So there'll be plenty of ideas for activities and tasks to do with your students, especially middle school students between the age of 11 and 13, around about that kind of A1 plus A2 level in your classes. So just before we start, a little bit of a disclaimer. The images that I use in my presentations are predominantly generated by artificial intelligence. Okay, so it's kind of generative graphics rather than using stock images or images from the internet. Where I have used an image for a brand or something, I've always put the URL underneath, but unless otherwise mentioned, for example, this image here has been created using AI. That also includes the people that you'll see in some of the shots that I use later on in my examples. Okay, so I thought what we would do is start with a little activity that I did the other day with my well, it was with my tutor on my master's course, and I thought to myself while I was doing it, this would work very well with my language students. So I've kind of changed it a little bit, and I thought I would share it with you as a kind of warm-up activity. So it's called the mindful reset. So I just want you to imagine, well, you don't have to imagine, but have a look around where you are at the moment. Okay, you're probably sat in front of a screen in your study, or maybe even in the staff room, or perhaps in the lounge. And I just want you to have a look around you and note 5 things that you can see. Okay, don't just choose the first 5 things you see, but have a good look around. Take time to notice things that attract you. Okay, maybe it's something that's out of place, or maybe something that you haven't seen for a while, or a color. And just take time to kind of look at that. Okay, look at it fully and take a mental note of it. You don't have to write anything down. Now, the reality of this activity would be a little bit slower, but because we've always got time against us on these webinars, I'm going to go through it a little bit quicker, but bear in mind that when you do this activity, okay, take your time. There's no point in rushing it. So the next step in my mindful reset is to look around you and touch 4 things. Okay, again, don't just touch the first 4 things you see. Have a look around. Maybe you've got a glasses case and just feel the texture of that. Feel it against your fingertips. Feel the temperature, the weight, pick it up. Is it smooth? Is it rough? Is it wet? Is it dry? So just take note of those things. Moving on to the next of the senses, we're going to think about noise. Now, a lot of you may have headphones on like me, and the only thing you can hear is my voice. Sorry about that. But to do this activity correctly, you would just sit there with no headphones on and observe what noises you hear around you, and try and filter out those noises. Try and distinguish between sounds that are near, sounds that are far. Maybe you can notice a clock ticking or a dog barking next door, something like that. Maybe there's somebody in the apartment next door putting up a picture, hammering into the wall. But again, just have a think about it, process those sounds, and try and hold on to them for a minute. That's 3 senses down. Onto the 4th, things that you can smell. Now, this obviously would depend where you were, what you're doing, what's happening around you. Maybe you can't smell anything. Maybe you've got a cup of coffee in front of you. Or perhaps you can smell the freshly printed paper. Or perhaps you're eating a toasted sandwich. Or maybe you can smell perfume. Just notice each one. Breathe in through your nose. And the last one is something you can taste. Now, only one thing you can taste, and that's the taste in your mouth. So, depending on again what's happened in the last 5 or 10 minutes, maybe it could be a coffee, maybe you're chewing gum, or maybe there's just a neutral taste of nothing in your mouth. Savor that taste. Okay, so that's the activity that I did with my university group. Okay, it's called the mindful reset and it's designed to be done before you begin to study. Okay, so it's a total reset from whatever you were doing to whatever you're going to do. So I went away from that session thinking, I like that. How can I make that into an activity I can use with my students? Because there's so much language in there. If you think about it, we've got verbs, we've got nouns, we have adjectives, okay, we've got the five senses, all kinds of language there. So I transformed it a little bit and I ran it today with my middle school class in Vicenza. Okay, and basically, this is how it works. So I run the activity first. Okay, we go through the five senses. And then each student has five post-it notes. Okay, it could be five pieces of paper. You might want to give them more than five. Okay, but the idea is that they write down at least one thing for each sentence. So that's a word, it's a verb phrase, it could be a noun. In the meantime, I've designated 5 areas in the classroom where my students can now go and stick their post-it notes up. Okay, so I'm gathering language from my students, sorting it out into the five senses, and setting myself up for the next activity. Now, where I go from here depends, okay, depends on what my lesson is about, what my target is for that particular day. But here's some ideas, okay? Now, I'm not expecting you to write all of these down, and I'm certainly not going to talk through all of them. You will have access to all of my slides at the end of this session. I think that Romina is going to upload them onto the system. Okay, so you'll be able to have a good read of these along with the other things that I explain in more detail as we go through today. Okay, but the idea behind it is that I have student generated content. Okay, so these are words that my students have given me. We can call it eliciting, but normally eliciting is verbally asking for the words. This is a different form of eliciting. It's also a form of formative assessment because it gives me, the teacher, a better idea of language range, creativity before I go into my next activity. As I say, here's a few different suggestions on how you can take that forward if you want to. It's entirely up to you. But having enjoyed that activity, I thought I'd share it with you. Now, the other option between student generated content is, of course, teacher sourced content. Now, for those of you lucky enough to be using Macmillan adopted content, then you'll know that you've got access to so much material. There's archives of material, multimedia, printed resources associated along with your course book. However, the teacher still kind of needs to add to that because, as we know, language is emergent, and it might be that you want to concentrate on a certain point of your course that maybe your book can't provide that specific content. And this is where I'm finding myself using more and more AI or digital materials to help me generate appropriate content for my course. Now, advantages are clear, okay? And I'm going to show you some in real time this afternoon, things that you can do depending on what class you have, but very easy. I'm going to give you the prompts that you might need and everything. But just to give you a few ideas, we can use this kind of content for warm-up activities. We can adapt material to be more inclusive. So if you wanted to make language a bit easier, more graphics, more pictures, etc., we can do all of that quite simply now using today's technology. So before I kind of talk about what I'm using at the moment, I want to know what you're using as well, because the best thing we can hope for in these sessions that we spend together is this kind of peer learning. Okay, learning off each other, sharing resources, and this is really what Macmillan webinars are all about. Okay, it's not just everybody listening to the speaker, it's everybody contributing and sharing what they do, best practices. So we all go away with something new. So during today's session, the chat box is open. So if you want to drop down a comment about some kind of digital tool that you're using, something you've discovered recently, maybe you found a new way to use ChatGPT, or maybe you've discovered Notebook LM, or maybe you found something completely unheard of and you just want to share that, by all means, please do post that in the chat while we're doing today's session. We'll have a look back at it if we've got time at the end, but in the meantime, it's more for you guys to have a look at each other's resources. So while you're doing that, or while you're thinking, I thought I'd share with you some of the things that I'm currently doing. Now, quick word on freebies, because I often get asked, do I pay for AI tools? The answer is, in most digital tools, you have a free section. And what I have learned through experience, I would say, is learning how to utilize these free resources without having to pay for them. So I'm going to concentrate mainly on these 6 tools today. These are the ones I'm going to be talking about as I go through the tasks. So the first one is Gemini and VO, Nano Banana. These are tools for creating images and videos, okay? And every day, if you're part of a Gmail or Google Association organization, you get 3 free 8-second videos a day, okay? Very high quality, and I'm going to show you what they look like in a minute. Hey Jen is another one that I use. That gives me 3 videos of 30 seconds long that I can make every month. Suno, which if you haven't heard of it, is taking the world by storm. It's an AI song generator, and we're going to be having a bit of fun with that a little bit later, and also showing you how you can use it to entertain and also educate your students. Claude, which is an LLM, so a little bit like ChatGPT, Copilot, but more in depth, a little bit more productive. I still use ChatGPT, but I found that Claude can generate some better results on certain things. So we'll be looking at that as well. And finally, Notebook LM, which again is another one of those tools which I'm using more and more. And I'm going to show you exactly how that kind of fits in to what I'm doing. If you're unsure about any of the digital tools that I'm talking about today, or you want any more information on them, I will be giving you some links to past webinars that we've done late last year, around November time, where we looked at all of these tools individually. So they're kind of tutorials. You'll be able to watch them and get up to speed. For those of you who are already using them, then hopefully I can give you a few fresh ideas on what you can do. Now, the first thing that I learned about using these digital tools is you need a system, okay? And it's just like lesson planning. So I found that if I dedicate a certain amount of time per week, okay, then it means that I can be more prepared for my week ahead, and I'm not looking last minute to generate images or videos or songs, and then I run out of free credits. I've just decided there had to be a better way. So I've started planning. This is how I plan, and it's much the same as many of you would plan your lessons for the week. Okay, first of all, I have a look at what I need. Okay. And then, interestingly enough, I write the prompts. So on a Word document, I'll say something like, create images for my A2 12-year-old middle school class on sport or something. So I just write down all of my prompts, or even better, I sometimes get ChatGPT to write them for me. Okay. I think about what I want to do this week. Okay. What lessons have I got? So, do I need warm up activities? Do I need some songs? Maybe I've got reading comprehensions. Perhaps I have a class of real mixed ability that needs some kind of adapted text or simplified text. Maybe I want to do role plays with that class in the third year who are really energetic, and I need something to keep them occupied, but something specific to what they're studying at the moment in their unit. Whatever it is, I write it all down. And then during the week, this is where I access my tools, okay, on a daily basis or 3 times a week, okay, and I quickly create the videos, because a lot of these free tools will give you a certain amount of things per day, okay, and if you don't access them that day, then you don't get them. You don't get double the next day. So if you can spare 5 minutes to quickly go in, paste your prompt, generate the image, the video, the song, whatever it is, save it, and you're done. Okay. So maybe it might be a couple of songs a week. Maybe you might want to differentiate that reading text, or generate some role play cards. And we're going to do all 4 of these things today. Okay. Once you're done, again, organization is key. On your desktop, save some new folders, create some new folders. Okay. Media year 1, media year 2, whatever, divide them by class, put the files in there, have an archive, save the worksheets. Okay. Things you're probably doing already, and it will save you a lot of time. Okay. Now let's move forward to where these things fit in my class.
You can use your 3 free videos a day to do all sorts of things per la tua classe. How about daily tongue twisters for your students?
There we go. There's a good idea. Why don't we create some easy videos with some tongue twisters? Okay. So then my students are going to have spoken model. They can copy it. I can give them the tongue twister, and then they can try and copy and even compete against the AI. So let's see what that looks like. Okay. So this is how I did it. I got my 3 free videos, 8 seconds long. I gave each one a tongue twister, and then I made a little talking video of myself presenting the 3 tongue twisters. Okay, does that sound complicated? Not really. As I say, if you look at the last tutorials, you'll see exactly how I do this. And then I put them all together using either iMovie or CapCut, and I have something then that I can share with my students either before the lesson or play it during the lesson, depending on what facilities I've got in the classroom. Now, my prompt was create a short video of a British person saying the full tongue twister of how much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood, or she sells seashells on the seashore, Peter Piper picked a pepper. Anyway, you get the idea. Have a look at this.
How well can AI do British tongue twisters? I asked Gemini to do 3 of the most popular. First up, how much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood?
How much wood would a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck could chuck wood? He would chuck as much wood as a woodchuck could if a woodchuck could chuck wood.
Now let's try, she sells seashells by the seashore.
She sells seashells by the seashore. The shells she sells are surely seashells. So if she sells shells on the seashore, I'm sure she sells seashore shells.
How about Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers?
Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. A peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked. If Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, where's the peck of pickled peppers Peter Piper picked?
Job done. I'm going to have to start making these tests a bit harder.
What do I love about teaching? Well, for a start, every day feels different. One moment I'm explaining photosynthesis, the next I'm learning a new joke from a 9-year-old. I get to watch light bulb moments happen right in front of me, and that's magic. The stuff from tea is endless, the holidays aren't bad, and honestly, the kids keep me young.
What the hell was that?
Exactly. As you can see, sometimes AI does its own thing, but I thought I'd share that little last video with you. Okay, so if you wanted to, for example, run that activity with your kids and you want to watch that video, there's a QR code that will take you to a YouTube channel where I've shared some of these videos that I've created. So you don't have to. Now, let's move on to how this all can fit into an overall lesson plan. Okay, now lesson planning in 2026 is AI assisted for me. Okay, it makes things quicker and it also makes things more challenging for students. Okay, now I'm going to show you this triangle for those of you who know, and I imagine a lot of you do. This is Bloom's taxonomy. Now, Bloom's taxonomy attempts to explain the levels of thinking or cognitive thinking of our students based on the activities that we set them to do. Now, you can see here at the bottom, we have remembering and understanding. Okay. Now, these kind of activities are your basic comprehension activities when we ask students to read and answer questions or listen and indicate. Okay. Then we have the third layer, which is applying. Okay. Applying is what they've learned into a situation. Now, unfortunately, due to timetable restraints, things like that, a lot of us don't really get past these three levels. We don't get into the higher order level thinking, cognitive tasks here, where we can have students analyze and evaluate and even create based on what they've learned. And so subsequently, a lot of the course books that we adopt don't really have too much of these more advanced level activities. And now if we have students who are fast finishers, we want to challenge them a bit more. We want to help them arrive at the higher order. We want to help everyone arrive at higher order thinking skills. And this is where AI can help us by developing those kind of activities. I'll show you an example. So this is a little speaking activity we have based, it is from my Macmillan Middle School book, and I happen to be teaching in a school that has an indirizzo musicale. So every time I mention the word music, all my students get excited. Okay, but unfortunately, in my particular book, I've only got this bit really that mentions music. So I need to kind of create more activities to foster that interest that they have on music. So I asked ChatGPT to help me. Okay, so I took a picture of this part of my course book, put it into ChatGPT along with this prompt. Okay, and it generated more activities for me. Now I've written master prompt here. Again, this is something I have mentioned in previous webinars. Master prompt is basically when you finally get to the output you want from your AI chatbot, your LLM. Okay, finally, maybe it took you half an hour to finally produce those worksheets or to generate that picture in the right way. When you get there, write down into the chatbot, give me the prompt it would have taken to get me to this point immediately. And you'll find that Claude or ChatGPT or Gemini, whoever, will give you the full prompt. So next time you don't have to go through that half an hour of time wasting or trying. Okay, this is called a master prompt, and you can see you can change things in it, like the level, the age group, the types of activity. Save that prompt in a Word document, and then you can use it over and over again. Now, these are some of the activities that ChatGPT generated. Okay, I've just picked 3. Now, here we go. We've got write down 3 things about music in your life. Okay, then turn it into a song. We've got others that ask how we feel. So we're tying in those feelings into music. Okay, we're using music across context. So the idea now is to kind of take this a little bit further. And I thought, well, how much further can we take this? Okay, so we generated a few of these ideas. And this is where this new tool, Suno, came into it. And I've been having a bit of fun with this. So I generated this little video just to tell you one of the things that Suno can do.
Hey, have you heard of Suno? It's a music app that was so easy to use. You just write down some ideas, hum the melody, select the style, and go.
Exactly. It's as simple as that. You can hum a tune, write down some words, and hit play, and it will create a song for you. So I thought, well, I'm going to try this. So I did. Now, before I start this, just to explain a couple of things. I like using PC, desktop, and I also use a phone. I found that with this particular app, I like using it on a desktop so I can see all of the songs that I've produced and move things around a bit better. I'm a bit older, so I prefer big screens. But on the actual phone app, you can use this feature, this hum feature. Okay, so I hummed a tune. Okay, so I hummed that tune, and then Suno turned it into this. So what did I do next? I thought, right, this is good. I need some words. Okay, so I hit auto generate, and it generated all of these lyrics for me. So I thought, okay, let's put the whole thing together and see what we get. Okay, so now I've got a song title, I've got the melody I hummed, the lyrics. I thought, what am I going to do now? So then I thought of another thing. I thought Notebook LM. Notebook LM is something that you can upload anything to, and it will generate activities for you. And if you want to know how to use Notebook LM better, then go to one of our past webinars you'll find on your YouTube channel. There's a link there as well if you want to find it. So I went to Notebook, I hit create new notebook, and I pasted those lyrics in there, okay? And then I said to it, create some listening activities for the song, okay? And this is what it created. For my song called Still Moving Forward, I've got underline the right word, fill in the gap, true or false questions, all done for me in literally 2 or 3 minutes. So from humming a tune, generating the lyrics, generating the song, generating the lesson materials to accompany the song, it's there. And you notice as well, I've even got an answer key, and all I do now is hit print, and there we go. There are my worksheets to use in class. Well, I think that's pretty amazing. And the fact that it can be personalized as well. So the other thing I can do with Notebook LM is I can make infographics. So this infographic here, if you go to the studio part on the right hand side, Notebook LM is very easy to read. On the right hand side, you say studio, and you hit infographic, and here we go. I've got something now that will explain the lyrics to that song to my students in quite a straightforward way. Okay. Now, that's one activity that I've been doing. So it's making a song, and we'll see if we've got time. I'll show you another song that I made at the end. The other activity that I do that I've been using digital tools a lot for recently is to kind of help students understand a little bit more about Agenda 2030. Okay, so Agenda 2030 is a very important project. We're encouraging our students to be free thinking, to criticize and question what they see around them, you know, the decisions that governments are making, and also the decisions that people make in our local community. So Agenda 2030 is a really nice kind of framework to do a project on. Now, I'll just go forward, sorry. There we go. Okay. So my idea was to first of all have a look at Agenda 2030 on the website and see what was available to me. Okay. Now I found this really nice set of SDGs, or Sustainable Development Goals, and there was one fact sheet available for each one that you can download. Okay. So if you go to this website, you'll be able to find this, and it's designed to be used for educational use in school. Now, the part on SDGs and Agenda 2030 that I have in my Macmillan book is great, and it launches the topic well for me. But if I wanted to do something a bit deeper, okay, I need to go and look for resources outside my book. Now, in the appendix that you can see when you access this slides later on, I'm going to give you the whole project base that I've done, but with too much detail for this lesson. Okay, so you can have a look at this in your own time. But let me just explain to you how I went about doing this. Now, the first thing is I based my whole lesson on this taxonomy. The idea being my lesson, my project is inclusive, so I want to bring everybody into it. So the bottom level here, the projecting information, the comprehension, the sharing information, okay, accessible to everybody. And then as we go up, students become more and more independent, more confident with what they're learning. Now I'm using Gemini. Okay, so Gemini is the Google AI tool, which helps me generate images and videos. This is one image I actually generated with Gemini just to explain the different types of activities that you can have with Bloom's taxonomy. So this is how it all works. These are the 6 stages of my project. Okay, so in the beginning, you can see here, I'm just going to share some images with my students. And again, I'm going to give you in the appendix, you'll see clear instructions on how I did this, all of the prompts that I used to generate these infographics and lesson plans. Okay, so the first stage here, I'm just going to generate some images to share with my students. Then we're going to go into the questioning stage. We're going to go into a little bit more depth about each one of the sustainable development goals. Okay, then we're going to ask students to apply that to their local community. We're going to go forward into role-playing examples, trying to build empathy by looking at different cultures and SDGs in different situations. And even hopefully we can get to the evaluation where we can share opinions and then finally create something from our class to share with either parents, with other schools, or just amongst ourselves. Okay, so the first part of this, I've decided to use Gemini to create some images for me. Okay. So you can see here, the prompt I've used is asking it to develop images which are suitable for my students. And this is what I get. Okay, images that work with each one of the sustainable development goals. So no poverty, zero hunger, life on land, life underwater, sustainable populations, those kind of things. We've got one image for each of them. So I can share that with all of my students. And this in itself is an inclusive activity because everyone can write a couple of words about an image. The higher level students can write something a little bit deeper. The lower levels can write something a little bit more superficial. Okay. The next thing I do is I look at these PDFs that I downloaded from the website. Okay. Now, maybe this language is a bit too complicated for my A2 students. So what can I do? I can use Claude. Now, Claude is another AI system, but very, very good at producing these visuals, these infographics. Okay. So you can see here that I've asked it to create a fast fact sheet based on these PDFs. Okay. And I'll show you what it managed to produce for me. So I produced one for every single one. And you can see here that it's taken the main ideas from the fact sheet and put it in a really accessible way. Okay. So now this is something I can now use with pretty much all of the years of my Scuola Media from first through till third. Okay. The language is a lot more basic. There's more graphical clues, symbols, key numbers. Okay. And this is the prompt and result that I used to generate that. Now, one thing that I try to do throughout my projects or throughout any kind of activity in class is formative assessment. You might have heard me use the term many times, but it's something that ensures me that my students are all moving through the task at the same pace. One of my favorite formative assessment activities is a thing called a KWL chart. Now, a KWL chart will track students' progress before, during, and after an activity. Okay, the KWL actually stands for what you know about a subject, what you want to know about a subject, and finally, what you've learned about a subject. So the idea is before the lesson or before the activity begins, you're eliciting information similar to what we did in the mindful reset at the beginning. The second stage is asking questions. What do you want to know? Why, etc. Activating that student's interest in the topic. And finally, the learned side is where they make a note of all of the facts that they've amassed during this activity, the answers to all the questions they had. So this is what Claude produced for me, okay, my KWL chart. Now this is student facing, so it means that I can give it to the students and it explains exactly what it is and how to use it. Here are my 3 columns: what I know, what I want to know, what I learned. And my student keeps that with them throughout the project, throughout the learning experience, while they're going through their various fact sheets, infographics related to Agenda 2030 and the SDGs. They've got a note of, they've got a place to keep their notes, a record of what they're learning as they go. Now, as I move further up the triangle to more kind of analytical and empathetic activities, where I want my students to kind of imagine what it must be like to be either living in a situation where there's high pollution or maybe where there is inequality. So I decided to ask Claude to create some role play cards for me. Now, students love role plays. So this is a kind of role play with a twist. Okay, this is the master prompt that I've used. And again, when you have access to the slides, you can just copy and paste this into Claude directly, change a few things to personalize it to what you need it for. And you can get your own kind of role play cards that look like this. And aren't they nice? Don't they look great? Colorful, well presented. They've got like a little bit here. Well, actually, they've got the name of the student, the SDG that it refers to. This is Zero Hunger. A little bit about the character that you need to play, what the situation is, the problem you've got, a little secret which will add to your story creation kind of thing as you create the role play, and then a little bit of helpful language down the bottom. So the way this works is that every student gets given a separate card. Now, just to add a twist to this, I like to get them to find their partner. So I just randomly give out both sides of the role play card, and then I say, okay, find someone to role play with. And obviously there's only two that match, for example. Okay. Once they've found their partner, they can sit down, look at each other's problems, see if they can help each other. Has one got the solution? Has one got an idea how they can help the other one? For example, here we have a situation with Anna. She didn't bring her lunch with her. Okay. Her friend says you can borrow or have some of her food, but she feels too proud, so she says no, etc. So although we're not in a situation where, like famine in Africa, for example, we can still raise awareness of what it's like to be hungry. Another situation, for example, someone who likes to recycle and somebody who just forgot that day. Okay, somebody who just casually threw a plastic bottle where it didn't belong. How do you do that? How do you stop them and say to them, hey, it's not the right thing to do? Okay, so again, here we've seen applying the values of what we've learned from the beginning, from the lower levels, when we've read our fact sheets, we've read our infographics, we've looked at pictures, now to actually applying those kind of beliefs into real day situations. Now, a little kind of finale thing that you can do, which I'm still kind of experimenting with, especially at Squalor Media, where there might be restrictions on things like screen time at home or use of digital tools unsupervised. This depends. You can run it in a couple of ways, but the idea is, because Notebook LM allows you to upload the source content, which means that Notebook LM will only look at the files that you have uploaded, and it will only answer questions based on the information in those sources. So you can see here, I've got all of my fact sheets here from 1 to 17. I've also got a little bit more information from the World Health Organization on how the whole thing works. Okay. And in the middle here, this gives me a description of my my particular notebook dedicated to Agenda 2030. And you can ask it anything you want, any question you like, based on the facts here. So this is something that you can have on screen on your LIM or your interactive television or large screen computer in the classroom. And if one of your students has a question, you know, why don't governments do more about pollution? They can simply come and ask this. They can type their question in and it will give them a response based on the source content here. And it will also tell them where it found the answer. Okay, so if the answer, for example, is in SDG document 3, it will tell you. So for more information, the student can go to that file and read it, or you have the file printed and you just provide it to your student. On the right hand side, again, you can see here the various multimedia content that we can generate from this source material. So if you want to have flashcards, for example, or you want to make one of those nice infographics which kind of explains the whole thing, maybe you want to make a little video, 5-minute video which will explain the whole idea of SDGs, you can. And remember, when you're making a video on Notebook LM, you can slow the playback speed, so it makes it a little bit more accessible for your lower level learners. You can create mind maps. You can even create like a PowerPoint deck. All right. So these are all things you can do with Notebook LM based on the source content. You can also share a Notebook LM via Google Classroom. Okay, if your administrator at school has enabled that, so your students, when their institutional accounts, can go in and they can access this at home. Okay, so you create the Notebook LM, provide the link, share the link with them, and then they can go in and use it as a research tool. Okay, so it's just a nice way to kind of have a controlled study project, either in class if you want to, or if the parameters allow it, remotely. So something that they can do at home via Google Classroom. Google Classroom is the best one to do it with, because obviously Notebook LM is a Google product. Okay, and so you can see here again, we've got a few directions there just to help our students if they're having trouble knowing what to do. I mean, it's very easy. They just have to concentrate in the middle here or on the right. But here's a few little kind of web quest tasks that they can do that's going to help them learn the way that Notebook LM works. And so this is also, in effect, creating kind of digital literacy around a tool that I believe will become a fundamental study aid as they go into kind of upper secondary. I certainly am using it a lot in my work to help me produce lesson resources. So I think it's also fair to try and think about how it could become a kind of student-centered resource as well. Now, luckily enough, I've still got some time, so I'm going to go right the way back to another project I did. Okay, so this is back to my favorite tool of the moment. This is Suno. Okay, and this is songs. So this is what I did. Okay, first of all, I asked ChatGPT to create a song based on things about the daily routine. So I was doing daily routine this week with my class on Thursday, actually. So I said, well, I need a resource for that particular lesson. So I created this prompt and I put in all of the target language: get up, have breakfast, go to school, etc. And then I decided to make it kind of a song about student life and going, why do we have to go to school every day? Things like that. Make it nice and simple language, A1, A2, okay, young teenage themes, and it created this this lyrics set for me. Now, one thing to know, the difference between ChatGPT and Suno is that ChatGPT can create lyrics based on what you want. Okay, so if you want specific tenses, specific lexical sets, ChatGPT is the one for you. If you just don't care and you just want to create some random lyrics, and believe you me, they often are random, then you can use Suno directly. But I wouldn't recommend it, not for middle school students, because some of the lyrics can be a little bit abstract. They're all safe, but just a little bit strange. Okay, so I put my lyrics into the lyric box of Suno. This is the style. I want teen pop, male and female vocals. Okay, pressed create. Okay, and this is what I got. Okay. Da, 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 da. Oh, da, 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 da. Yesterday felt just the same. One more day, same me, same name. I got up early. Now, it's quite good so far, but you know me, I like to go a little bit too far with some of my lesson preparations. So yeah, here I've got a karaoke version that I can download from Suno and I can use that. But I thought, what better way to kind of show you everything that I've got in some grand finale. So first of all, here's my lesson materials, just to make sure that it's got a didactic reason to be in my classroom. Okay, so there's the worksheets that I use ChatGPT to create for me, a gap fill, tick the boxes, you hear them, put them in order, etc., etc. But the piece de résistance is coming. If you want to use this activity, by the way, before I finish, there's a QR code that will take you to the song. All of the worksheets are in the appendix when you access the slides later. And this is my final creation. Why is it the same?
All right, class, listen up. This next track is called Why is Every Day the Same? It's all about school days, homework, Friends, grab your worksheets and something to write with. Let's go.
Da 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 da. Oh, da 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 da. Yesterday felt just the same. One more day, same me, same name. I got up early, washed my face. I went to school, it's always a race. I had my lessons, read and wrote. I listened well, I took my notes. Every day is just the same, same routine, same me, same name. But I laughed and saw my friend, so my day wasn't bad in the end. Da 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 da, da 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 da. Wasn't bad in the end. Da 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 da, da 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 da. I did some sport, I ran around. We had music, we made some sound. I did my homework, had my meal. Then I called you, and that felt real. Every day is just the same, same routine, same me, same name. But when I laugh and see my friend, my day's not bad, and I don't want it to end. Da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. I went to bed, I closed my eyes. Tomorrow came, same blue skies.
There you go. What do you think of that? Okay. Well, that's me done. I hope you got something useful out of my presentation this afternoon. Romina, if you're around, please step in. Any comments
Hello.
you have, any questions, whatever, put them in the chat and we've got a few minutes we can get to them.
Yes, absolutely. And thank you, Andrew, for the session, because as usual, it's super, super interesting. I'm sure that our teachers got so many insights on all the AI tools that are available. And to be honest, I'm really interested in Suno. Suno is one of my favorites.
It is, and the comments that I'm hearing is just that people have really found it as a great way to express how they feel, because they can, you know, just write down in words how they feel, and Suno puts it to music, and it's amazing what it can do. You know, if you're in a kind of grumpy mood, or if you're in love, or whatever it may be, it can just turn it into a masterpiece. So yeah,
Yes,
I'm
no,
having a lot of
exactly.
fun with it.
Suno is incredible, and to be honest, the last song that you played, a masterpiece, Andrew. You could change careers.
Well, and I'm building my YouTube channel up with all of these experiments that I'm doing. In fact, that last video with the lip syncing is a new tool that I found. You can upload a video. You can upload a video, and the avatar will actually match the mouth to the words, and it's incredible.
Oh, wow.
Incredible.
Wow. And there are a couple of questions, actually, I can see now that the last video, there's Anna saying that she just missed how the last video was created. And Valeria is asking about the QR codes, if it's possible to have it back for...
Yeah, let me just see if I can get that back for you. So there was 2 QR codes. There was, oh, hang on a minute.
Yeah, the last one, I think.
Yeah, there we go.
I can see lots of teachers saying that Suno was a surprise for them as well, so they are going to try it.
Yes. Well, another thing that I'm doing with, sorry, can you see did I manage to share my screen then? Did you see the QR code?
I can't see it. By the way, I remind everyone that you're going to receive the slides, as Andrew mentioned. In about 1 week, you're going to see them as well, with the QR codes included. But At the moment, I can't see the screen, so I'm not sure.
Okay, well, what I'll try and do, hang on, is just quickly get the link to my
Now
channel
I
and put the
think,
link in the chat.
yes. Okay, now we can.
Okay.
Now we can
You
see.
can see it? Okay, perfect. Yeah. All right.
All right.
Maybe take a
Okay.
screenshot of that if you want a copy of the lyrics and things.
And then
yeah,
you're going to
exactly.
receive the slides anyway.
Yeah,
exactly.
and all of the things are on there for you. But yeah, have fun with Suno. It's a great idea.
And okay, guys, thank you very much. We have to wrap it up for now. So thanks again for being here with us, Andrew, of course, and thanks
Thank you.
everyone, our teachers, for being online with us for this hour. We're going to again send you the slides, and you're going to see your attestato in on the Mondadori Education website, your profile in the attestati section. So stay tuned, because there's going to be more webinars coming soon. And I just remind everyone that we're going to have our live events. They are the Macmillan Days, and they are face-to-face events from the 23rd of February to the 28th of February throughout Italy. We're going to touch several cities. So if you're interested, do have a look at the Mondadori Education website. There's the whole list of the cities. And so I hope to see you there in person. And if not, see you in the next webinar. And Andrew, thanks again, and speak soon, everyone.
Yes.
Thank you.
Go get my lessons ready for tomorrow now. So see you later.
Exactly. Bye, everyone. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.